The communication systems have been key, really, to the success of handling all aspects of the pandemic in education. There were issues around emails going out to schools on Friday nights, which were not really conducive to well-being. But I think schools would really appreciate one central department portal that all schools could immediately consult in order to stay abreast of all the guidance, the updates, the emails, the circulars. Is that something that the department might look at? Because the reality was that we were all scrambling in those early weeks. And to some extent, we're just wondering which portal to look at in particular now as well. Is that something that the department might look at in their review?
Yeah, and just to acknowledge, and I do appreciate the difficulty, that it did pose for schools in terms of, emails arriving at different times. And I have heard that, and I'm aware of that. And I know from my own experience in schools, the email arriving at a particular time or a further questionnaire or whatever, it's the last thing you need at a given time.
Yes.
But I do want to acknowledge that, but I just want to give that a little bit of perspective and say that, in the midst of the pandemic, any guidelines that issued to schools, and then came via email or whatever, there was a hierarchy of working through those guidelines. So, for example, it wasn't just a diktat, if you like, from the Department of Education that we decided to send it out. It was worked through with all of the partners in education individually and then collectively and then signed off. And there were certain, I suppose, time-conscious situations where, unfortunately, we'd say emails had to go out maybe on a Friday evening or whatever, which I know discommoded schools and particularly school leadership. But I want to say that was, the extraordinary times in which we found ourselves.
I know the HSE had to forward one last Friday, but that was based on the IT attack, as it were.
Yeah, and there will be, and there were situations like that, whether it was to do with PPE or whatever, there were situations like that. But I am particularly conscious of it, and I do want to say that, going forward, there's some excellent lessons to be learned really from COVID, and I do want to say that in terms of the communication, it is absolutely my intention that, communications would not go out, on a Friday afternoon or a Friday evening, except, as you have referenced, maybe an extreme emergency.
Yes,
but in terms of the general communication, I want to acknowledge, the work of the Primary Education Forum, and just to say that there is a consultative group now being set up in terms of, best practice and, as I said, lessons we can learn, and particularly in the area of communication. We are currently also reimagining, if you like, the Department of Education website, but that's just one example. But this subgroup, we'll say this communication subgroup will, I believe, be very helpful, where we can hear the issues that are on the ground and we can work collectively. And I look forward to the work that will deliver.
I think that as long as there's consultation and listening to all the stakeholders and so on.